Step right in. Through the sand and the static. One skull, one mic. One question that rattles the attic. Thrayle's lantern, bones bright as a star. If you're sure of your answers, you're already too far. Dry wind, dead road, tents made of tattered belief. Mirage of a miracle, promising relief. Skeleton showman, grins from the dune, calling with your heaven, your haunting tune. Under the wings of light, we're calling out the sky. Is it God? Is it dust? Is it comfort? Is it trust? Every story, every sigh, hold it up, let it fly. We question the question, try under the wings of white. Carnival candles flicker in the phone line hum. Tell me what you worship, tell me why it comes. Is it fear of the ending, or a friend in the storm? Is it something that saved you, or just a ritual? Under the wings of white, we're calling out the sky. Is it God? Is it dust? Is it comfort? Is it trust? Every story, every sigh, hold it up, let it fly. We question the question, try under the wings of truth starts shaking, let it shake, let it breathe. If your faith starts breaking, see what's hiding beneath. Under the wings of wine, we're calling out the sky. Not to conquer, not to fight, just to look, just to light. Every doubt, every cry, bright in the night. We question the answer, try under the wings of white.
Welcome to the Batcolyte. Can you question your beliefs? Request on up. Do you have a belief in a God, a higher power? And you can question that belief. Request on up.
Hello, everybody. Ooh, that was loud. Welcome to the Batcolyte. Go ahead and tap the screen, share the live. We are just getting started, of course. And if you have a belief in a god or gods, a higher power, or anything like that, and you're curious enough or courageous enough to question your beliefs, well then go ahead and request up. I'm not here looking for a debate. I'm not looking to argue or prove you wrong. I'm not here to burgle your gods. I really just want to know, if you can question your beliefs, then what is it that you believe, and why do you believe it? That is, if you even know. I hope everyone's doing well. Sure, it looks like I'm a little late, and, well, there's only 9 of us here, but we're here nonetheless. So, I'm not late. You're late. Hello, Philly Red. Welcome in. Of course, welcome into everybody who is here. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Welcome, Divine Intuitive Hazelnut. Welcome, Tricera Bear, Cat in the Bat. Also, Philly, In Good Faith, Blake Spog, and Bradge. Thank you guys so much for being here. So good to see all of you. And of course, well, thank you to Everlasting Godstopper and Everlasting Godstopper for helping with the goal. Both accounts there. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. It is well, it's one of those days when I don't expect a lot of honesty from guests, but who knows? We'll see what we get. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. We did have one request, and I thought maybe we'd have a smooth jumping right into it, but they apparently, maybe it was the wings of why. Maybe that was too many questions for them. Whatever that means. I'm not sure what too many questions are, but, you know. I did wake up today after an 8-hour sleep. Usually only get a few. And I found that there were another half dozen or so songs waiting for me on the Discord. So I've got them all in the player, at least all the ones that were there before I started. And hopefully I'll get to play a few of those without having too many lulls. I would like it if there is a believer who's, well, curious enough or courageous enough or at least coherent enough to question their beliefs. Coherency's been a problem the last few nights. No, Alex, I wouldn't suspect blueberry coffee is very good for sleep. I often end my day with a cup, but I also start my day with a cup, and usually continue my day with a cup, so ending it with a cup kind of makes sense. That's better. I had a crick in my neck. But I think we're better now. And if anybody watching has a belief in a god or gods, a higher power, or anything like that, and you're curious enough or courageous enough since the last song, I'm just going to stop there and maybe pull up something better to listen to than me repeating myself. We all know if you've got a belief and you can question it, well, join me up here.
Let's gather around. It's time to shine. Tap that screen, let the rhythm align. Share your thoughts, don't hold back. Together we'll pave a vibrant track. Tap, tap, tap. Let the magic rise. Join the conversation. Open your eyes. Tap, tap, tap. Let's tap that screen. Let's dance to the beat of what we mean. Share your story, raise your voice. In this moment, let's rejoice.
If you believe or if you doubt, tap it out loud, let's hear you shout. Life is a journey we all share, so tap that screen, show that you care. Unity, we can all be free. Tap, 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 let's tap that screen. Let's dance to the beat of what we mean. Share your story, raise your voice. In this moment, let's rejoice. Tap it loud, don't be shy. Together we'll reach for the sky.
There was a guest. They were in the queue. And as soon as I accepted, they were gone. That's what happens. Maybe someone should write a song about that. Oh, wait. Morgan Le Fay did. I think that's what we'll listen to next. Yeah, that's what we need. While we wait for a guest, of course. And maybe there's somebody who's curious enough or courageous enough to question their beliefs. Oh, well, how about that? It's a cat in the bag.
What do you mean?
Well, I see that now. You. Oh, you mean Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do this. Because I'm getting...
I finally did it.
There we go. I can breathe again. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Thrayle. How are you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Can I get your age for TikTok TOS?
You sure can. I am 34 years young.
34. And do you have a belief in a god or gods, higher power, or anything like that?
Well, I'm a non-spiritual Greek pagan. So while I don't necessarily believe in the gods, I do believe in the ideology.
You said non-spiritual Greek pagan.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't believe the gods of the Hellenic pantheon exist?
Correct. I think that the concepts themselves were venerated, and for people to understand how to venerate them, they assigned humanistic traits to them.
So for you, your Greek gods, they don't exist.
Yep.
Then in what way are you a Greek pagan?
Well, I'd say I'm a Greek pagan in the same way that an atheist Jewish person is still Jewish. You follow the customs, the practices, the ritual, but you're doing it for a selfish purpose. You're doing it because you want to feel better, or you want to remember people who have passed on, not necessarily for the benefit of a god or gods up in the sky.
So for you, the benefits are entirely personal. What is the practice of Greek paganism absent gods? What remains of paganism?
I would say you still hold the tenets, the philosophy of paganism, which is do no harm, do right by nature, do right by your fellow man, and what have you. Without the gods, you know, if we look at like a goddess like Aphrodite, right? It was much easier for people to picture beauty being the concept of beauty in that day, you know, by symbolizing it as a person. I think we do the same. I do it with chaos and wisdom. I think that through great chaos, there's great wisdom. And I think that you can still have hope in a concept without it necessarily being attributed to a god or, you know, spirituality or the universe or some of the other fun things we hear about on a daily.
So you still... Oh, go ahead, Kat.
I want to talk about through great chaos is great wisdom a little bit. What is that? What do you mean?
About which part?
Oh, through great chaos is great wisdom? Comes great wisdom? What was it?
I think that human strife actively brings chaos. Right. And it can be chaos in your day-to-day life. It can be chaos in the greater sense of the world. And I think that we can glean wisdom, we can glean motivation, we can glean understanding of human nature. A lot of the Greek pantheon and a lot of the practice in that time period was actively questioning the gods, was actively posing the fact that there aren't any gods. They were saying that we do these things for the veneration of what we hope is gods, but at the end of the day, we are doing it for ourselves. It was very philosophical like that my pig grade. But I do think that, with wisdom, with chaos, with philosophy, these things can enrich us. And, when we find a community of people who practice similar to us, we can glean that chaos, we can glean that wisdom from them in order to, I don't want to say be better humans, because I don't think anyone needs a religion to be a better human. But I think they can use it to be a better person if that's the path that they're looking for.
Unity in this practice?
Yeah. I used to be a coordinator for the FPG, the Florida Pagan Gathering. We had about 5,000 people come out during Beltane and Samhain, which is the equivalent of like Easter and Halloween for those who are not in the pagan practices. So yeah, I've met many Greek pagans. I met many pagans of different kinds. Indigenous people who would practice with us. People from all different kinds of faiths. I don't currently practice with a coven, just because my brother's in the military, so I go from base to base every 2 years or so. But yeah, there's many people in the community who I talk to on a regular basis, both believing pagans and non-believing pagans.
Are you in community with any other... Oh, sorry, Kat, you go ahead. All right. Are you in community with any other Hellenistic pagans or Greek pagans?
Yeah, I'd say less than a handful at this point. I've lost contact with many of my contacts through FPG over the years, because I haven't been a coordinator for a few years now. But a couple, most of them believing pagans, a little bit younger than myself, probably late 20s at this point. But we still talk, we still text. We don't do practice together in a ritual sense or anything like that, but we still talk.
Have you ever communicated with somebody who is an indigenous practicer of houses?
An indigenous practitioner of that's a good question. I know that I have communicated as well as been in a coven with multiple Greek practitioners as well as Norse and Egyptian and what have you. I've been in communication with many indigenous people who follow indigenous practices. I met an indigenous person who actively practiced Greek paganism.
No, I mean somebody that was is culturally Greek and was raised, indigenous to the religion.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. We used to have this great guy who was part of the coven, who was actually a little bit older than me, one of the few times. He was about 5 years older than me, from Greece, was a Greek practitioner and everything, was very much a believing pagan. And he was a bodybuilder. He was a very handsome man. But yeah. People of all different kinds, especially living in Florida, Tampa specifically, you get a lot of people from all around the world who pop in. So.
Yeah, when oh, sorry, Kat, you sound clear now. You go ahead.
How did you come to Greek paganism? How did this end up in your practice?
So, after I left Catholicism, which is a pretty common story for us pagans, I was discerning for the priesthood and what have you, realized that as someone who did not have a hard belief in a God, but I had a belief in the church itself, I realized I wouldn't be a good spiritual advisor if I didn't believe in spirituality. So I became atheist/agnostic for a while. I looked into all the world religions I possibly could have. Thankfully, Tampa has no shortage of different spiritual temples here. Buddhist temples, Hindu temples, Sikh temples. Looked into many of them. And I ultimately found a pagan practitioner who practiced Egyptian paganism. Her main deity that she followed was Bast. And she kind of educated me, but she was very strict to a degree when it came to the practices. And it made it doubly difficult to understand and to learn and to become part of the culture, because she was very, very believing in the practices, where I was taking on a much different role, which was I would be an assistant. I would observe ritual. I would be there to help out. And when I was introduced to her coven was mostly Egyptian and Celtic. So during that time period, this was many years ago, 2006, I guess, 2005, 2006. So it was a little bit more difficult for me to obtain the information about different pantheons back then outside of going to a local library. Ultimately, I found Greek paganism really vibed with the idea that some of the greatest philosophers of our humankind came from the Greeks. And many of those philosophers were actively questioning the god's role. They were saying that, we need to be better as people. We need to understand what it means to be people. But at the same time, do we need gods? And I think the culture itself also stuck out to me.
That was all bars, Cat.
Oh. Perfect. Love that for me.
You better now.
Oh, Anna, a big part of the thing that drew you to it was the aspect, like the questioning that you saw happening within the other people practicing it.
I think that is a big part of what brought me to Greek paganism specifically. Many of the other Greek practitioners that I knew at the time, and still today, have a very love-hate relationship where even the ones that fully believe still have a difficult time, because the way that the gods are written in the mythology is very crass. Even ones that are very lawful or very loving are still very crass towards humanity. They have their agendas, their goals, and humanity has their agendas and their goals. And sometimes those goals intertwine in the mythology. I think as people, we're supposed to constantly question what we're doing, what decisions we make, what religious path that we're taking. We should question other people, not to offend them, but just question them to understand, right? That's part of the chaos that I was talking about. And by questioning, by understanding another person's point of view or our own point of view, we gain that wisdom that we're looking for. Because I think that when we as people ask a question, it's because we're actively trying to fill a piece in ourselves. And we're trying to understand ourselves a little bit better through other people vicariously.
So do you think that encouraging, doing an exercise such as this, like encouraging and trying to promote critical thinking in others and help them think critically is also an exercise in helping ourselves know ourselves better?
Absolutely. I think panels like Thrayle's is one of the most important that we have in the atheo community, as well as the theistic community, because it keeps people honest about what they believe. It keeps people honest about why they believe, and it keeps people honest about how to go about talking with other people, regardless if they're from another, theistic or non-theistic pathway.
What is the most valuable thing you've gotten from being a secular Greek pagan?
It gave me time to light a candle, sit on my balcony with my hookah, and give reverence and thanks, and really think about the life of my mom who passed away. I think if I wouldn't have been a Greek pagan, if I just would have been a full-blown atheist instead of a secular Greek pagan. Normally I say secular Greek pagan instead of non-spiritual, but I was trying to be a little bit more precise. I think if I was an atheist, I would have had a lot harder of a time, because as someone who doesn't believe in an afterlife, even as a Greek pagan, it's very hard for me to understand that personality is now gone after she passed away, after the brain ceases. I think the ritual of lighting a candle, actively sitting there, giving thanks, especially during Samhain, which is Halloween, it gave me a little bit more purpose. And I think that if I didn't have anything, it would be much harder for me to continue after those events where people pass away.
So even though there's no, you don't believe in an afterlife or any, like spiritual things, the ritual and the practice comforts you enough to help you with the difficult things.
Right. For me, for me, comfort is a key role in what a religion is supposed to give people. I often talk with people on many different panels, and I use the question, if you found out tomorrow that all of this was fake, would you still follow it? And 99% of the time they say, no, I only want the truth. And that goes against the idea of the comfort, the community.
That question before.
Yeah. And it just goes against everything a religion is supposed to give people, which is comfort, community, wisdom.
Did you pop in when I hosted a live a few nights ago?
Yeah. I think I was there.
So the prompt I had was, are you seeking truth, comfort, or certainty?
Right.
I'm asking.
Oh, for me, I would say comfort. I hold the utmost respect and admiration for science. If science ever contradicts one of the cultural practices that I do, like if we found out tomorrow that burning candles is bad for me, I would stop burning candles, for example, because I take science to the absolute utmost respect. But Greek paganism is just the one that brings me comfort alongside my rational side, which is I believe heavily into science.
I think comfort is the most honest answer to that question, but it's not the one that I don't know. Thank you, Alex. You are wonderful.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
What would convince you that a God exists?
That is the question, Thrayle. That is the question. I've always said there's a difference between believing in a God and worshiping a God. Someone could be aware of a God's presence if a God ever made themselves aware to them. But it would be a choice to worship them after that point. For me, it would probably take very little evidence. I mean, if it rips open the sky and waves down at humanity and says, hey, I'm a God, I'd be like, well, I can believe in a God, but depending on the God, it doesn't mean that I have to worship that God. So, I think anything worthy of worship has to be worthy of humanity itself. It has to be respectful of humanity, and it has a lot to answer for, because if there is a God, a creator, whatever up there, it has to answer for, the big questions like suffering, or, what comes next, if there's anything next, what came at the beginning.
Does it necessarily have to answer for anything?
It doesn't have to answer for anything. It could just be like, I am. I don't think it has to, but I think if it wants to earn earnest respect and worship by people, outside of people just being aware of its presence, then it would have to answer the hard questions, tell humanity why this was the path that humanity had to go down.
If a god could provide those answers, would you worship it just for existing and giving you the answers you sought?
I don't think I would, honestly. I would acknowledge its existence, but unless we're taking a very different approach to the idea of gods than, the stereotypical Abrahamic concept of gods, if the gods weren't all powerful, if they were limited in nature, if they were only, in charge of their own domain, like I couldn't blame a god that was like, a love goddess. I couldn't blame them for, war, for example, because that's not their domain if we're looking at that kind of god. But even if they answer everything earnestly, they're like, yeah, this is the reason why we have to have suffering. This is the reason why bad things happen. I'd be like, that's just not good enough for me. Like, I know other people will worship you because you're a planet destroyer or something, but no. It just wouldn't have enough respect for me. I think I've gotten past that point where any reason that it would give would feel like an excuse because of suffering.
Is suffering a really big issue for you?
I'd say so. I've had a lot of family pass away. Outside of my biological brother and myself, we're the only of our lineage still alive in our genealogy. And it's not just me. Like, of course, we take the egocentric approach of, bad things happen to me, why me? But I mean, it goes for around the world. Why are there people starving? Why are there people without food and water? Why are there dangerous beasts? Why do natural disasters happen? All of these things all lead to suffering in some way or another. And if there is a God/creator, they could have created a utopia with just very minor, annoyances that people would have to deal with, like, oops, got to go to the store and get new shoelaces. That's the worst thing that'll happen this year to you.
Would you actively resist an evil god if you found one to exist?
I would definitely resist the best I could. But I mean, once again, if we're going against a god, my little picket is probably not going to be enough. But I would do my part against a evil god of whether we're talking about a domain type god or an all-powerful type god. If I genuinely believed that they were evil, I would most likely have conversations with people and try to talk them out of following an evil deity. Impulsive.
view of an objective truth?
I think there are things in science that claim to be as objective as we can possibly understand them, like the Earth orbiting the sun. And I think that is a decent enough understanding of an objective truth, but it doesn't fully count for if there are things like another dimension or whatever, because I don't personally believe it. I know the science is like, well, there's up to 10 different dimensions. I don't personally believe it, but if there is such a thing, then that kind of throws everything we understand a little bit out of whack. I think everything genuinely is going to be subjective. I think there are things that we can get close to an objective truth on, but even the color red is going to look strange to a colorblind person. I read as many. I look into medical studies. I study psychology. No distrust in scholars and what have you, except when then I just try to take the best knowledge that I can, the best wisdom that I can on it. Take the abstract of an article and say this is good enough.
What's the difference between knowledge and wisdom?
I think knowledge is the application of learning. I think we as humans actively go out into the world and try to learn about different subjects. And then when we gain enough of that learning, then we have knowledge to be able to either teach other people the best that we can. And of course, at the end of any time that I'm trying to teach someone a new subject, I'm like, but don't just take my word. Also look into it because I could be wrong. I think knowledge outside of having multiple PhDs and multiple people working on it is going to be slightly flawed, as well as learning. The best information you're going to get is going to be dependent on the teachers that you have.
So what's wisdom?
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm. Wisdom is knowing a tomato does not go into a fruit salad. Yes.
That's what wisdom is?
Yeah, that's intelligence.
Really eloquent explanation of knowledge, and then wisdom is knowing a tomato doesn't go in a fruit salad.
Correct.
And that
Intelligence
is I love it.
Intelligence is knowing a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad.
I like that.
I also think that we're taught in school actively that those who don't read about history actively repeat it. But then we don't go deep into what our historical ancestors or what have you, whether it's, the Greeks all around the world, the Egyptians, Scandinavians, what have you, the Norse,